All right. Hi, my name is Monica Aklil-Kotis. I am a school psychologist by profession, and I have 4 boys, and I'm happily married for 16 years now. All right, so growing up, I grew up in Alexandria in Egypt, and I went to a private German school. So right off the bat, I learned how to speak bilingually, both in the German language and the Arabic language. And then in 4th grade, we ended up winning the lottery. What they had back then, it's called the lottery. Like, Dad did it as a joke. He was like, oh, I'll just try my luck. And my grandpa's like, yeah, go for it, even though my grandpa never wanted anyone to leave. But for my dad, he was like, yeah, try it out. And it was during the Feast of the Cross, the paperwork came in, and we were selected to come to America. So we ended up going to New Jersey and trying our luck there. And my dad goes, I can't do New Jersey. It's worse than Shobra. So my aunt here, Tante Maha, I don't know if you guys know her, Maha Tanios, and Uncle Nader, Sylvia, and Michael. So they're our cousins, and my mom and her are first cousins. And they ended up calling them like, come try Chicago. So we packed and we came to Chicago. And since then, we've, been part of St. Mark's Church and grew here. So my mom is an amazing Coptic leader for a few reasons. She grew up at the hands of Abuna Shoy Kamel in Mary Gerges Sporting in Alexandria, and Tassoni Angel was his wife, and she's the one who took her under her wing and really embedded that in her, and that love for Coptic and language and growth and keeping that heritage, because it's so important. And since then, every day, Nicholas, we used to hate this, half an hour of Coptic reading and memorizing was so annoying. So when I was a little kid, my mom put me in the kitchen while she's peeling potatoes or making food, right? And she'd be like, and we just keep going. And I learned Tenachisi, which is we magnify you in Coptic as well, all of this. And the hostess and, the reading, same concept she, teaches you guys with, taught my brother and I, Mina and I, our whole lives. Till we went to high school, and we're like, oh, we're done. You're done, we're done. But yes, my parents are also, they do love God with all their heart. And the way they showed it was, we'd have to read the Bible with them every evening at night. It was the big red Bible. Mm-hmm. They'd open it, sit down, read it, and we'd read the Synaxar of, the saint of the day. I mean, my mom was legit. My brother and I'd be sprawling on the bed and be like, okay, are we done? So these are things that they've embedded in us to become closer in Christ. And even though we thought it was a waste of time, obviously it wasn't. It's what really helped us cultivate who we are today. Yeah. So yeah, she's a powerhouse because her number one is God. Mm-hmm. And you guys know anyone who has God as a forefront can't be shaken. Church was my second home. And I'll tell you something. So when I arrived here, I was not very welcomed. I was a foreigner. Everyone that was here was either grown up here or has been here a lot longer. I came when I was 9 years old, and I was very ostracized. It was very different as a child. My mom still had me wear pants up to here. I had vanilla tucked in, the whole concept. And I was made fun of. I was ostracized. I didn't speak English. I just spoke German and Arabic at that time, and I was still learning. I was also a goody two-shoe just because I knew so much about church and about the religion. And your Tante Feriel was my Sunday school teacher, and every single day I'd be like, A+, Monica, good job, Monica. So I was very favored, in the eyes of an adult or a teacher. But to my peers, I was not one of the most loved people. So I was ostracized, I was made fun of, and almost casted out, where I'd go home and I'd be like, Mom, I don't want to go to church. I'm so sad. I'm not loved. I don't want to go there. And she goes, this is your Father's home. You own it. You go and you become who you are. Nothing else matters. You're not going for the people. You're not going for the social aspects. You're going because it's your Father's home. This is where safety is. And since then, it's become my Father's home, for real. So I come and I cultivate a new aspect of what I want to see in the house of God. So if I wanted to be friendly, guess who it starts with? Me. I get to be like, hey, nice to meet you, how are you? And I get to be that face to welcome everyone. And that's how we change cultures within a culture that's already embedded. And that's how it became. And then all those beautiful humans have become my very good friends now. And we've become such a beautiful community. So church was my home through everything, through growth, through pain, to this day, obviously, where I come to find comfort and joy in people and, of course, in Jesus, right? And in taking the holy sacraments and especially communion. There's something about it that resets me. And yeah, without it, I would be very lost. So I've been blessed with stage 4 colon cancer. And we found this out November 30th of 2022. And the way I went about it, I'll give you guys a little bit of a background. So I am a huge athlete. I love working out. I love pumping iron. I want to be strong mentally and physically and spiritually. I think strength comes with practicing those small muscles in every part of your life. And I take it to the gym with me. And that was my life for a very long time. So I started getting really fatigued in February of 2022 and really like lots of pain and things like that. And I just go to the gym more, do more reps. And it became so lethargic where every single day I'd go to work, come home, have to take a nap before I take care of the kiddos. And it became kind of my new norm. I was like, maybe I'm just getting older. Fast forward, November 30th, I wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning and there's severe, severe back pain, lower back pain. I can't move. I wake up, I'm like, Mina, my husband, we need to go to the ER. He goes, okay. And I'm like, you know what, it's just my back. I think I can drive and take myself there. I tried to roll over. I was like, can't do that. You have to take me. And I was like crying. And I have pretty high pain tolerance. So Mina got up, he took me, kiddos were asleep. And then we arrived to the ER at Edwards. And I go, you gotta go home, kiddos are sleeping. It's probably a muscle spasm. I'll Uber home, once they figure it out for me and I'll come. Cool. Mina leaves. I'm there. I'm in like extreme pain. Now I'm crying. They finally come to me, and as they were wheeling me in, because I couldn't walk at that point, I prayed and I said, Lord, whoever ministers to me, just let them see what is really happening. Because I didn't know, right? So I go, they like a little closet room, and they're very busy that night. So I just go, please turn off the lights. I'm going to try to sleep through this. So I sleep through the pain a little bit, and I wake up. And the doctor comes in, and he's like figuring me out. And he's like, it does look like a muscle spasm. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. He goes, can I give you pain meds because you're in a lot of pain? I go, no, thank you, because I want to be able to really articulate what it is that I'm feeling. Because once you give me a pain, I forget, right? Because that's how we are as humans. So he goes, okay, I appreciate that, and he walks away. He comes back after a few minutes, and he starts pressing on my lower stomach, and my stomach in general, and he goes, how does that feel? And I go, it's very sensitive to the touch, it's always been. He goes, okay, I'm gonna go out on a limb, this is not really protocol, and we're gonna do a CT scan. Are you okay with it? I was like, please, anything. He goes, okay. I go into the CT scan, I come back. They turn on the lights and they start talking to me and they're like, so, we see some tumors. I'm like, oh yeah, cool, all right, great. I have no idea what's going on at this point. And I'm like, okay, great. He goes, can we do another CT scan and give you a contrast, just to see things better, because we're confused. I'm like, sure. We go do another CT scan with a contrast, come back. Now it's change of doctors, okay? So then the other doctor comes and he goes, ma'am, we think you have cancer. You've got tumors in your colon, you have 2 in your lungs, and we have 2 in your liver, but we are not sure because we still have to do biopsies and really make sure that's what it is. I go, yeah, sure, no problem. I'm gonna go home, get my stuff. My kiddo is not feeling well, I'm gonna take him to the doctor and then I'll come back. He's like, no, you gotta go straight at the hospital. We have to admit you. I was like, yeah, let me go get my stuff. I'll come back. He goes, no, you have to go. And I'm like, I'm in shock. I'm in disbelief. Like, what's happening? So they leave. And there was a male nurse that kept coming into my room and holding my shoulder and goes, are you okay? And I look at him, I'm like, am I okay? I don't know. I really don't. And he goes, well, you need someone here with you. Do you have someone you can call? I'm like, no, my husband has to take care of the kids. I have 4 boys. And I'm like, I'll figure it out. So it was 5 o'clock in the morning. You guys know my brother, Mina Gindi, right? Mina Gindi doesn't answer anybody ever, especially 5 o'clock in the morning. I call him that day. And apparently he wasn't feeling well either. So I call him, he's like, hello? I'm like, hi, you're awake. Why are you awake? He goes, yeah, I'm not feeling well. I'm like, funny you say that. I'm in the ER. He goes, what? He goes, what's wrong? I'm like, nothing. They just think I have cancer. He goes, what? Stop. Don't even say that. You don't know what's happening. Like, just take it one step at a time. I'm like, he's freaking out. I'm like, okay, bye, Mina. And this is like the siblings relationship. And then he's like, and he's like, want me to come? Want me to do this? I'm like, no, it's all good. We're going to figure this out. So that being said, done. It's 7 o'clock now in the morning. I take another nap. It's 7 in the morning. I text my best friend. I go, hey, here's what's happening. And I call her and I'm like, I have cancer. And Karina and I, my best friend, we've been friends since I was in 4th grade. So 9 years old. So she's my sister in Christ through and through. And she's like, I'm coming. I'm like, no, what I want you to do, I want you to go home, please. Relieve Mina. Take Nicholas, because Nicholas has a fever. Nicholas to see the doctor. And I want him to come. So they had their, interaction. Mina ended up coming. It was 9 o'clock and they were taking me up to the room. The story continues. I'm in the room, Mina's flustered. We're both like disbelief and shock. We go upstairs and the bedside mannerism is a big thing for a reason. I had this first doctor comes to me and he goes, okay, we're gonna have to do chemo. And we're gonna take a biopsy and you have to do colonoscopy. And I'm like, chemo? I've never taken medication in my life. I refuse. And secondly, no. So I go, what if I don't do this whole chemo thing? He goes, you have 3 to 6 months to live because you're about to go in liver failure. And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah. And I go, okay, fine. Then if this is God's will, then that's it. I don't need to fight through this. And he goes, yeah, but liver failure and the pain to go through it is really extreme. I don't recommend it. I go, okay, fine, sign me up for chemo. So then we have the colonoscopy. They take their biopsies, everything goes through, and I have stage 4 colon cancer at this point. So I did not like this doctor. He seemed very, there's no connection there. And we ended up saying, all right, we can't do this. So I call Sam Gerges, right? Sam Gerges is, we grew up together. So he calls Sam, tells him, Sam's like, advocate to get a different doctor. So he gave us a different doctor's name. We went through that. And his bedside mannerism was a lot nicer and kinder. But I was telling him, from what what you've studied, what is the bigger picture? He goes, well, best case scenario, you have 3 to 5 years to live. So I heard that and I'm like, okay. If that's it, that's it. So Mina's like, all right, the road was gonna be long. We wanna take a second opinion, so we flew out to New Jersey. We went to Sloan Kettering, tried to do some stuff there. And it was all coming down to, now I understand it, that I have to do 12 chemo sessions. They have to be super brutal. And it's a lot of mixed, chemos to really attack the cancer and to contain it. That was the name of the game. And those 12 sessions are your most important sessions because that's where it really contains and decreases what's happening in your body. So came back, started the chemo sessions, talked to Sam, obviously. He reread all my images. And it's funny because we had the CD with us and Sam's like, do you want me to come to you to read it or do you want to come to my house? I was like, no, you have the monitors, we'll come to you. So we leave, sorry, I'm going back and forth, but we leave the hospital, we go straight to Sam's house. And I remember Sam opening the door, and he just starts crying. And that's when I knew things were serious, like super serious. And I go, okay, it's that bad. He goes, it's pretty bad. So we read the images, we realize we have, there's there's a huge tumor in my colon, 2 in my liver, 2 in my lungs, like I said. And the ones in my liver were also very large. That evening, Mark and Liz, our cousins, they were hosting a fabulous Christmas party. And I looked at Mina, I'm like, no one knows anything right now. So I'm like, Mina, let's go and just look fabulous and have the time of our lives. He goes, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, no one knows. Let's have fun. It was hard for Mina, but I had the best time of my life. I went, we took pictures. It was fun. It was interactive because I knew I'm about to head into an interesting journey, right? So we ended up doing that, and then this is December 2nd. This is when the party was. And then December 4th is my husband's birthday. So he's like, I don't want to celebrate. I'm like, no, we're celebrating. What do you mean? I love birthdays. So we go to a beautiful restaurant, and we have all the cousins there. I'm like, listen, we're going to celebrate because at night we're going to have to tell them all the great news. And he's like, okay. So we surprise him. He comes. He doesn't know. We're just going to have family dinner, and everyone is there. We say happy birthday, and we go home. If we're going to do this, and if we're going to fight, we're going to do it my way. Because I told Mina, I'm like, you married me, but you don't have to go through this journey. You can still be my husband, but it's not something that it needs to be imposed on you. But he goes, I want to be part of it. And I go, okay, then we're going to do it this way. We're going to do it with joy and with a lot of thanksgiving and love. He goes, that's really hard to ask, Monica. I go, you're right, but it's a choice we make every single morning. We wake up and we choose to be joyful. And he goes, okay. I go, if you're on this train with me, we'll do it. Then we start making phone calls to our loved ones, right? So everyone at Mina's side, they are really good with emotions. They don't show them, which is really awesome and easy. So it was lovely to just be like, so I have cancer. And they're like, okay. And no, and I mean, a lot of them were like, we're praying for you. We're here. What do you need? And it's funny, one of his cousins were like, you have cancer. What are you going to do about it? I'm like, good question. We're going to figure it out. My side of the family has a lot of emotions. So I was like, Mom and Dad, you guys have the task of telling them if you want to, because I'm not going there. I'm not touching that with a 6-foot pole, because I know my own strength and my abilities. And I wasn't ready to have a lot of emotional interactions. Like, I'm okay to telling the facts, and that was it. Start chemo. The first 12 were brutal. They know this, they have like this oxyplatinum, and it really messes with your nerves. It makes you really cold. I had to drink water that was 110-degree temperature, because anything other than that would literally, you feel like you're almost suffocating. It's like daggers going down your throat. I couldn't touch a spoon. It was too cold. I had to wear gloves to touch everything, open knobs, open the doors. It was a lot of learning. The coolest part of all of this was when the community started to know in the church. When my friends, when my peers, when my older mama group parents started to know, and the amount of love, prayers. And also it was more like I want to kind of shield myself too from a lot of it, but the blessings that came out of it was insane. It's legit what gave me wings to fly and get through this. And it still is that. So when we talk about church and community and love, and how the church can be two things for a person. It could be a place where you never want to go because you've been hurt, or you can turn it around. It's all about perspective in life. Or you can turn it around and make it a safe haven for you and the people around you. Really, when I've learned through any journey, whatever God gifts you, that perception is key to creating the life you want. So through all this, I've learned to see it as a gift, as the biggest blessing. Like, who's worthy of all this and all this love and this support and this amazingness, right? None of us are. But to see it through others and to be gifted that is something I would never go back to change. and through a lot of the ups and downs, like I got my colon surgery, for example, and I came to high school, to my Sunday school, and I go, guys, I really want you to, pray on this. I was supposed to have an ostomy bag, a poop bag, right? I was supposed to have so many complications because it's not the simplest surgery. And it was right around St. Mary's feast. So August 22nd was her day. And the 23rd was when I was going in for my colon. And this was a big deal to even be able to have the surgery. And I go, all right, St. Mary, 22 is yours, but you're coming to work with me the 23rd. And through everybody's prayer, it was the biggest miracle in the world. Didn't need a colonoscopy, or didn't need an ostomy bag, and I was able to be resected, and they took the whole tumor out and all the margins around it, and here we are today, right? So that in itself tells you that the strength of a community, of a prayer, that God is literally, all he wants us to do is to love him and to always communicate with him, and he will allow things to happen, but it's up to us on how we perceive it and how we go through it in faith, and we trust in him, and the rest is just magical. So it started off with, a lot of denial in the beginning. Of the denial, not that I have cancer, the denial of like, oh, this is not a big deal. That's my perception. That's how I needed to survive the first few months. And it was just like, kind of like being at the gym and like, all right, I gotta do one more rep, because I gotta get stronger. So that's kind of how I interviewed it. Spiritually, it started with saying, I started very simple. I said, Lord, I thank you for everything. And I wake up in the morning and I choose you. That's how it always started with me. I choose you. And when I was afraid of chemo, because chemo does hurt and it's very painful, I go, Lord, I don't wanna go today. And I would lay down in my bed. And I don't want to go today, and I'm really scared, but I will turn that spirit of fear into a spirit of strength, and you come with me. And you take the pain away from me, and he does. It's the coolest experience. You go, and you're like, okay, I'm not as nauseous. I'm not as this. I'm like, thanks, God. He's got my back. It started off as well when I started getting really tired and fatigued spiritually. He would always bring reminders to me, and it came in a form of a hummingbird. So this is the coolest thing, and I think it's St. Mary, I don't know, but this hummingbird does not leave my sight. So I had a chemo session on a morning, and I was like, I'm not going. And I'm like, Mina, I give up. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to fight through this. It's brutal. It changes you. And I'm like, I'm tired. He goes, come on, Monica. I'm like, no, I'm going to stay in bed. And I just started I don't want to go today. And this hummingbird appeared in my window. There's no flowers there. And it started poking at my window. And I look at it and I go, and I started smiling. I'm like, I'm not going. And it kept on poking at my window. I'm like, fine, I'll go. And they got up and it disappeared. But with every major trial, he will, I'll be sitting in the backyard and this hummingbird just comes to me and just flutters in front of me. And I'm like, okay, I see you. Or I'm having a hard day, I go for a walk through even if I'm doing chemo, it's still pumping into me, I'll go through walks and I'm angry and I'm muttering, I'm like, God, why is this happening? This stinks. I'm really angry and I start crying. And this hummingbird shows up and literally walks with me from one house to another. And I look at him, I'm like, okay, it's gonna be all right. I see you. And he continues to walk with me till I laugh. And I'm like, okay, fine, I get it, it's good. And then, it disappears. So with every sad news or whatever, he always comes to me in fun form. And another form is through the people that love on me and really, really take good care of me. I also find so much peace in reading Job, because he went through a lot of similar things, right? And I wrote a few things down that I took away from Job, if you guys don't mind me sharing, but this is what's getting me through this. This is the spiritual side that's really equipping me in my darkest hours. And even through anger and sadness, I think those are beautiful emotions, you gotta let them go. I'm learning that it's good to have those emotions. You never lose faith and hope in God, even with those emotions, right? So my takeaways from Job would be consistent faith is the way to defeat Satan. And that's what I'm learning. It's really, really cool because it's very easy to dilute the faith and because the pain takes over. And it's very easy to be like, to give up and be like, God, oh, you don't care for me. You don't love me, right? But I love that it says consistent faith is the way to defeat Satan. And I thought that was so powerful. Another one is faith in God does not guarantee personal prosperity. And lack of faith does not even guarantee troubles in this life. And I wanted to make that a point because I'm not being punished. I'm not being, like God is not trying to, show me something or in a way that's aggressive or mean or malicious. Like, no, he's allowing something to happen for a bigger purpose. And that's what I need to know. And I'm like, thank you for trusting me with this. Thank you for this blessing, right? Because it's making me grow. Another one is God is capable of rescuing us from suffering, obviously, but he may also allow suffering to come for reasons we cannot understand. So what Job taught me in this is it is Satan's strategy to get us to doubt God at exactly this moment when you're at your weakest. And that's when you're like, hell no. No, I'm not going to let you, I'm not going to let that happen. Like, God, you're still there, even at my weakest moment. And I loved it. It gave me wings, so to speak. Another one is faith based on reward or prosperity is really hollow. That's how I grew up learning God. In Sunday school, I grew up learning that, maybe if I'm good, God will bless me, or I'll get an A in my exam, right? And I didn't realize how hollow and shallow that is, really, because I'm like, okay, I'll be really good this weekend, and then next weekend maybe I'll go party because I don't have an exam. But that's not really the big picture. And it changed my perspective. And it says, to be unshakable, one must be built on the confidence that God's ultimate purpose will come to pass. And I take so much peace in that because I'm like, I have nothing to fear. Like, you've got me. This journey does stink. Lots of the moments that I go through are very difficult, but you still got my back. And that in itself is beyond beautiful. I'm like, you created me, you know what's up. So cool, let's just do this. And if we always knew why we were suffering, then our faith would have no room to grow. I thought that was gold, right? Yeah. Like literally, like, and then it's always better to know God than to know answers. And that's where I leave it. I'm like, I drop the mic. I'm like, that's really it. It's always better to know God than to know answers. And I don't ask why anymore. I say, let your will be done. All right, what's next? And we go through that. So I would ask for prayers. My journey to come is we're at a crossroad. I still have to, cancer is funny. It grows, it goes up and down, it's not steady. And so is life. So I do ask for prayers because the next few, months are crucial. My liver is at a capacity of, if they do operate, they have stake 70%, and you can only have 30% left to, live, and it grows, which is magical, right? So if the chemo is not contained and it keeps growing, then I'm not even eligible for that. And I'm not an eligible body to transplant a liver. It's not fair to those who have a proper body that works. Mine can get infected with cancer again. So that being said, I'm praying to see, what's next. Because school of thought says, all right, do the liver or do the lungs, get it over with. But then without 4 weeks of chemo, then, chemo might be growing and, damaging the liver more. So that's my struggle right now, and that's my prayer. So I do ask for another miracle, and I do ask that everyone comes in prayer and let, God will open doors and make miracles happen, and I'm faithful. And if he doesn't, that's his choice, it's his will. But we do our part, and the rest is on him. So that would be my one request, is that you all pray on this, and we'll see magic happen, God willing.
Come, sing and chant, pray. and be glad. On the feast